Hi,
Welcome back to our channel, Sleuthing Sisters. My name is Katie,
and I'm Maggie.
and we're here to bring you our review of Nancy Drew mystery game, Message in a Haunted Mansion. Do 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 do. Don't know where that came from. It was in
I
the mood today.
don't know.
Yes.
It's a mood.
Um, Yeah, so we'll start with our usual. I think our first element is the playability of the game. I thought it was very playable. I thought the nav was kind of easy to figure out. There were times, though, where the game was glitchy.
Hmm.
I think that's just because of the age of the game. So there were times where, like, I'm trying to think, like in particular, like when the fire was set in the salon, like the game like froze, so you could hear the fire burning and you saw the door open, but you didn't see the fire yet. So like there was that point. I think there was a point too, like for some reason we had trouble like streaming and playing the game, so like that was a little bit of a difficulty. But overall, I thought it was a very easy, playable point and click, much better
Hmm.
than one and two. I felt.
Yeah, I think that my main point of frustration with this game was the streaming and the compatibility, and
Mm-hmm.
getting it there. I think when it would crash in the middle of streaming, like you didn't know it would crash, and
Yep.
so I was there like waiting and like I couldn't hear or something, or you thought I couldn't hear you, so then I had to like text you real quick. So it's not necessarily the game's fault, it's the age of the game. It
Yeah.
also took a bit to get it to work, and not as
It
much
did.
not as much as I feel Stay Tuned. But
Fair.
we needed to set it in Windows 98 compatibility mode and whatnot. But I mean, playing the game wasn't bad. It did run very smoothly as long as it didn't crash,
Yeah.
or like the stream didn't crash. And I think the nav was better. I think it was kind of like. It was kind of like Stay Tuned in that regard. I liked the different. I think it still
Yeah.
did the different colors, but correct me if I'm
It
wrong. But
did.
anyway.
No, and then like sometimes you had to figure out, okay, well if I'm in, like if I wanted to go to the attic, I
Hmm.
needed to be facing like, and I wanted to do it from the stairs. I couldn't just turn. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I had to like back up. So there was like a couple of times where that happened,
Right.
but not so much
Not
like
as
in Stay
much.
Tuned for
Yeah.
Danger, where to me it was extremely noticeable. And side note, you might hear a dog chewing a bone. That is my dog Lola.
I can't
Um,
cut that out.
we can't
Probably.
get that out, so it's gonna just be seen as adorable background noise. So I just wanted you to know
I'm,
she's living her best life.
I mean, the
But
last critique they saw Tempeh, so
yeah.
it's
So
one of
my
those
my
things.
dog's my dog's 60 pounds, so she's a little big to be in my lap, unlike little bat dog who is too cute to always be in your lap. So, um, but yeah, so I felt like this game was really a great. I consider Message in a Haunted Mansion like the start of like good Nancy Drew
Hmm.
games, especially in terms of the playability and the play area. They really extended it where you had Nancy's room and you had Abby's room and you had Charlie's area and you had
Yeah.
the tunnel and you had the salon and you had the library and then so I felt like they were really trying to make this like a centralized area, but a good world
Yeah.
play area where you could go a lot of different places.
Well, this
So
is
I really liked that.
yeah, this is the first game where they didn't in this series. This is the first game where they didn't go to multiple locations. So when you're set up
Right.
like that, just like in a play or something, you need to still keep the audience engaged and have enough
Hmm.
spaces to explore, and
Agreed.
be opened. Although there are plays that are set in one room, that's besides the point.
Yeah,
There's stuff going on to keep that going. In this
I agree.
case, they had enough space within the house or the
Yep.
mansion to keep it
Yep.
going. Um,
Agreed.
so, because you never left, which I
Yeah.
find interesting, and I like that concept. I don't
I did
mind
too.
like not going to other locations, or I
Hmm.
like going to other locations, but I think for this case it just worked kind of
Yeah,
that way.
especially for this story, which I
Hmm.
think that's a good transition. I think the overall story I really enjoyed. I
Yeah.
liked this whole, Nancy's here to investigate a series of accidents, which you'll definitely hear way more in the rest of Nancy Drew games. But to me, that's very natural for any investigator. You know what I mean? Even if it's in the real world, if it's in another, you know, document or like another book series, you'll get that a lot. Investigators come to try to find out who's causing accidents, not necessarily a murder every single time or a stalker every single time. So I like that they stick with it because it also allows for a lot of variance in terms of storytelling. So I enjoyed the story. I liked the historical part of it because I'm a nerd. So I really liked, reading about turn of the century actors and, reading about San Francisco and, the Great Fire. And all of that kind of stuff. So I really enjoyed it.
I like this. I can tell.
I'm like,
I'm trying to get my 2 pence in.
Sorry.
I like this story too. I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot. The historical parts, like I love the art. I love the architecture. That's up my alley. I liked the characters. I didn't I didn't think the story was as driven as Stay Tuned for me. I feel like I didn't get enough from like the villain, for example.
I agree with
necessarily
that.
Like there wasn't enough depth. To me, I mean, I liked the story. I didn't love the story. I think it could have been a little more fleshed out. We could have really dove into motive. I did like how they explored the relationships between the characters. So like there was a fight that you overheard between Abby and I always blank on names. Rose, thank you. There was a fight that you heard between Abby and Rose in the hallway, and they both were kind of pitted against each other, thinking that they were doing it, and that was cool. And I liked the whole seance thing where it's fake, but this whole thing there was depth with some of the characters. I think they could have really fleshed out the villain. I think that was the most important person.
I agree.
But they didn't do that. I think they did that with just the people who were living in the house. But at the same time, now that I'm talking about it, I can kind of see why, because you don't see the villain very much, but you're really living in the house with these other people. So like Charlie and Abby and Rose. So of course you would see more in a more realistic standpoint from them because you live with them. But I mean, we could have seen more from Lewis, I think.
Yeah. So reveal the culprit was Lewis.
Yeah, sorry. Spoiler alert. I'm so sorry. We're going to try and be better. We're under review. I know. No. If you're watching the review, you've hopefully played the game.
Crossing fingers. But no, I completely agree with everything that you just said. I really enjoyed the historical aspect of it, but I wanted more from the characters. I definitely wanted more from the culprit, especially since you had such a great culprit last game. I felt like Lewis was just a bit like blah, but I thought the motive was really solid. Like, I mean, he's just in it for the money, like period, and he's trying to drive out people so he can find it. Which, again, that is another common Nancy Drew culprit motive that you'll see in other games, and I don't mind it because money is a very it's a really great motive to do crime.
Money is a good motive. I mean? So, like, I wasn't mad at the motive. I just wished it was more fleshed out.
I wish it was more. I completely agree. And you really don't see Lewis a lot in this game. You have a very tight window to even see him in person. And I think you really notice it in the walkthrough or in the playthrough. We don't talk to Lewis a lot. Yeah. So
when we talked to him, I liked it because like there was points where you couldn't ask him about something because then you would like get caught. So I liked the small interaction. I just wish it was kind of fleshed out.
So well, and then I made a note while we were playing. Like I thought it was really interesting with the characters. I think you could deduce very quickly that he was either Rose or Lewis.
Yeah,
who was
one of those two.
Who was. Yeah, and I thought that was very early in the game. I wish that they kind of made it a little bit more complicated, especially because like Rose had a really interesting angle, and I kind of wish that she did it in a way, burning
Yeah.
down
At least helped out, like
your
some
own
sort of.
mission for the insurance policy,
Yeah.
like something like that. But they really threw it out there very early in the game, so I was like, if it's Rose, it's gonna be weak. So
There could have been like a sort of accomplice thing, because now that I'm thinking about it, like Stay
oh,
Tuned, it was
I like that.
and Stay Tuned, it was an accidental accomplice. So Rick started the letters, but Dwayne found an opportunity in that. So it was like boom,
and he exploited it.
Exploited, yeah. But in this case, you could have, like, Rose could have called him in, and they could have, they could have worked it together. I think that would have been a lot stronger. Because you got, you got backstory with the letters of the insurance, and the money from the gold could have helped her and helped him, and
and then her inexperience, and then his over experience.
Because I kind of don't buy the fact that this guy just shows up and Rose lets him do all this. I don't buy it. I think it could have been a little bit stronger if they did.
He was suspicious from the start. He was just suspicious from the start. Whereas, like, you had characters like Abby and Charlie, who he never in my mind was a suspect, because first he had the voice of Ned Nickerson.
I knew that was going to come up.
Of course it had to come up. I said it about 20 times in the playthrough.
In case anybody has not seen our playthrough yet, we had a realization as we were playing this game. I was sitting there, I'm like, man, this guy sounds real familiar. And then we thought about it, and it's like, that's the voice of Ned. So when we were looking into backstory, they had switched, like, voice actors and whatnot. They were trying to work out all that stuff. So this guy first played as Charlie, but from after this game until the close to the end, quote me if I'm wrong, he will play as the voice of Ned. So in our experience, we started in the middle when we first started playing, and that's Ned's voice.
I know. So it took us all of these years to realize that Charlie had Ned's voice.
First time.
So thrown.
So you'll hear it in the playthrough.
And so I thought, once I heard that, I was like, I don't know if I can believe it, Charlie. And then Abby, I actually enjoyed Abby. I liked the whole, mystic, spooky ghost type, character. I thought that was necessary for this whole ghost theory that, was played in the game. I wish you got a little more from her, because once you figured it out, you're like, Abby, like, come on now. You know what I mean? She wasn't worth talking to a lot. She didn't really give a lot in the conversation. So
she was kind of more surface bit. I really enjoyed, like, the character interactions with each other in this.
I agree.
But I'm glad she was there. But you figured out she was a fraud from the get-go. But I liked how you could see, like, the speaker in the vent, and you could see, like, the actual mechanics of her faking something. I think that was cool. Anyway, and then the whole seance thing too. And they actually had, like, a cutscene for that as well. I don't think that they had cutscenes in the other two games, except for, like, the
light falling, I think.
Well,
and then the
villains, like, so, like, in final scene, you'll actually see, like, the light falling, and that's, like, more of a cutscene aspect. But this is when they figured out, a full cutscene. So speaking of cutscenes, what are involved in cutscenes? Sounds and graphics. Here we go.
Ew.
I don't know. See, this is why I don't talk very much. This is it.
You did great. No. Sweetie, you're doing awesome.
Sweetie, you're great. Awesome. Okay, so graphics were better. I'd say that there was a little bit more more detail to the face. There was more body movement. So you could see that, and it didn't look too weird, too awkward. Stay Tuned, it was a little awkward, but it still was nice. It was impressive for the time. So this wasn't bad either. And the detailing was there. They didn't make them look like just, like, plastic Barbie dolls, They actually had, like, character definition, everyone looked different.
Yeah, and they were trying to do things like the fire scene, spying on Lewis. At the very end with the sun, the sunlight coming from the window, having the movement in the banisters.
That's true. There was a cutscene there. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were trying to do more.
Yeah.
So, and I definitely appreciated that, especially from Stay Tuned, where very innovative, but still just not enough quite yet.
Right.
So this game really, I think, kicked off a lot of the feature tones of the game.
I think they figured out a lot of stuff, and stay tuned. It was extremely impressive for the time, and they did have that security camera where you saw Dwayne on it, and it had body movement from far away.
And the body movement looked
and the body movement of him walking towards you, but it was like a quick succession of things. Yeah. So this one, it was kind of more prolonged, and I like that. It was more often. Yeah. So that was good. The audio was also better.
Agreed. There wasn't any fuzzy.
No fuzzy. Crap. No fuzzy noise. Yep. The voice acting was there. It was good.
Yep. They tried to do some of those creepy sounds.
They had the music and the creepy sounds, and I liked that. It made you, with the whole fake seance stuff, they had the ghost hall and the random wailing, and I thought that was cool. And they did a little bit of that in Stay Tuned. They had somebody come into the library. It was very awkward, but somebody came in the library and they had a scary sound.
No, secrets can.
Secrets can kill.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. So I'm gonna start mixing up my games.
This is only 3.
This is only number 3.
Wait till we get to 20.
Wait till we get to 20. And Stay Tuned, they did have music, but the audio was so fuzzy I didn't even hear any creepy sound.
Yeah.
There was and I'm not expecting jump scares, but I think in this game they did the audio very well to incorporate the scary stuff.
Yeah, and I think there was more you as a player were trying to find sounds that didn't match. So the woman crying, then you had Abby and Rose arguing, and I think that was really important because you only came upon it at a certain time and then you could only hear it. So I thought that was good sounds. I always remembered the stairs. Yeah. I think it was the first time they did sound deprivation. So one side squeaked and the other didn't squeak, and that was really important at the end of the game. So there was that aspect. So I really enjoyed having they're really trying to play with sounds, and
they incorporate the sound into the story.
Exactly. So I really I really liked that.
They really improved on that.
Yeah. Puzzles. I thought the puzzles were good. You got a little more, but this still was a game that to me didn't have enough.
For me, it's 2. Two puzzle. Well, okay. Sorry. Let's scroll back. I think that the puzzles were better. I think that there were more of them. I think, the, reading and active puzzles through and through. I think that was good. But there's 2 puzzles that I want to talk about. So the first one is the first puzzle of the game.
It was awesome. No problems.
Let me just say this. I have been trying to play this game for a while. Just because, October, it's Halloween season. I want to play a mystery game. Okay.
This is in the past, by the way. She's not talking about right now.
No. So in the past, I've been trying to play this game for, anyway, I could not get past that floor puzzle because the mouse sensitivity and the graphics would not allow for me to properly place the tiles. And if I could place the tiles, it was highly misaligned. I go to Her Interactive. I find that there's a fix for it, for the inlay puzzle. That's what it's called. It didn't work. Finds out I have to press a certain button from my mouse sensitivity to get it to work.
See?
That took 6 months to find out.
In reverse, I didn't have one problem with that puzzle. It worked for me.
When she did it on the stream, and I hope you guys hear it on the stream, when she did it, I was open mouth just looking at her you cannot be serious. So I will say that that's a massive inconsistency. I don't like it. I don't like how the fix didn't even work. For Her Interactive. Now, I'm happy that they provided it. Don't get me wrong. I think it probably did work for some people. It just didn't work for me. And I don't like that because I could not get past that part. I couldn't do it.
Which is literally
the first puzzle of the game. 5 seconds in the game, right after talking to Rose, you got to do this. Yeah. So it was very hard for me, and it was hard to watch her do it.
Yeah. I
However,
felt bad. I felt
however,
good, but I also
I
felt
mean,
bad.
it was nice to have. What I liked about the puzzles in this game was it was a mix of figuring it out and a mix of the restoration. So you're there like helping with the renovations supposedly,
Right.
and finding out why, or like there's so many freak accidents happening, but you're there to
I wish
help
there
do.
was. Yeah, I
You're
wish there
there.
was more help though with the
Yeah,
renovations.
true.
Sorry, I don't mean to
There was only
cut you
like
off, but
no,
like,
there was only 2 points where you were helping with the renovations, and that was pretty much it.
yeah,
I wish there was a little bit more, but I liked how they at least attempted to incorporate the puzzles
mm-hmm.
into that part, and not just like I'm finding out who the killer is. You know,
Right.
this is like I'm doing a home reno and I find something
Yeah,
cool.
I'm not supposed to come here and like
Right.
I'm here to investigate with accidents, but
Right.
not really investigate
Right.
accidents. Like
And then they
so,
had puzzles that helped with the story. Hence the intro to my second puzzle.
yeah.
So the maze. When you're trying to get into Lewis's computer, you don't exactly have the password up front, but there is a bypass. The bypass is the maze puzzle. Now, I love how it reminds me of like Doom and Lara Croft.
I know. I know.
All of the pixel games. I love that. I love that. I loved it for about 2 minutes. And then you sit there and you try to do it, and you can't even find an exit. And
Yeah,
then you can't back up just so easily.
yeah.
Oh.
Well, and so I was the one playing
Yeah.
the game, and so I just remember I was doing it. And I'm like, what is the point here? Like, I like a puzzle that actually has an end goal in sight. So I wasn't sure if we were trying to find the end of the maze, or we were trying to find a puzzle within the maze, or like a key within the maze. Like it wasn't explained to me what the end goal was. So I was over here like, how long am I supposed to do this for?
Well, I think what could have solved it was, so they had a game within a game, and in that game they did not set up game objectives, rules,
Nope.
what you're looking for. There was no
Mhm.
intro screen. It was just, we're in this and we need to go walk through it. And they
Yeah.
didn't exactly time it properly, or they made it too big to like, it was like a linear maze, but they made it too big to expand into, so they didn't have like the exit or the end goal be close enough where it would make
Yeah.
sense. Like if I'm getting into my laptop and I forget my password, would I want to do that maze?
Agreed. Good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, hells no, I wouldn't want to be doing that.
So, I mean, I would do it for maybe like a couple of, like maybe 2 minutes. That was my attention span. I was the one watching it, and I lost. I had to like look at my phone and stuff. I couldn't watch it anymore.
Fair. Well,
it
and
was
then
too long.
Yeah, it was too long. And then what was the point of even having those
Yeah.
like scene transitions within the maze? They didn't indicate anything to you.
There was no
So,
indication.
yeah, so that was probably the worst puzzle of the whole game. Was that maze puzzle. But the other puzzles, like I liked the poem.
The poem was
trying
cool.
to find those, because that was very similar to Secrets Can Kill, but I think they did it in a way that made sense to the story.
Right.
They tied it back in, whereas in Secrets Can Kill, the elements made no sense to the character or to the story. So I liked that. I liked the piano puzzle, even though that was, I think we actually had a problem.
I think there's fine tuning things. I think we did have a problem with some things. Like, for example, we couldn't find the where to put the word of Diego, and it was in the banister, but you had to click on a certain point of the rod. You know, so it's like we had some trouble either finding it or in the puzzle getting it to work. But I feel like it was just some minor fine tuning. It would be fine.
Yeah. And that was a bigger point that I actually starred when I was taking some notes, was sometimes I felt like the game wanted you to be more intuitive, like trying to open the attic, or like the desk in the attic, or like trying to figure out that Diego actually went in the banisters. So there was just a couple of times, and actually the one that really sticks out is the gumbo foo clue.
Oh, yeah.
That turned out to be really important. I still quite don't know. I mean, it was for like the last Chinese symbol, but it was like it turned out to be like this really important thing, and you really had to wait for the game to catch up to you. Though intuitively, to me, I should have been able just to figure it out. Like, anyway, besides the point. So like there were just a couple of things, but overall, I thought that the puzzles were fine. I liked at the end having the puzzle box, having the slider puzzle, and then having the tile sun and moon changing puzzle.
We didn't mention it for Stay Tuned, but now that I think about it, with you saying the waiting for the game to catch up. So in Stay Tuned, there were certain messages, or like you get a bomb delivered to you and stuff, and you needed to wait for that until like day 3 or something. And I liked that aspect in Stay Tuned. It kind of worked. Those things you can wait on. Like you would have a message from George, so you have to call George. You had a message from William Pappas, so you had to call him. In this game, you had to call this woman, and she was supposed to send you the character for this.
What was her name?
I don't remember. But anyway, but it was a little bit too long in the waiting game, and because we were finding all the other symbols, I feel like we could have just read that one in a book. I feel like if it's something along like messages or talking to people or like a bond delivered, those are more time, like you can stretch those out to be like the next day or something.
Yeah.
If it's just finding something that I can read, then I would just rather read it.
Yeah.
Although I like the idea of somebody sending you something and you waiting for it.
Agreed.
But it just depends on the content.
Yeah, but that's probably my biggest criticism of the game, is that sometimes the puzzles and the story just weren't matching up to what you as the player were doing. So you were moving too far ahead, or you weren't moving fast enough. And then that also relied on you being intuitive of certain elements of the storyline and the puzzles that I didn't feel were being portrayed as effectively as they wanted to. But it wasn't, I had more problems with Stay Tuned for Danger and that part of the game versus in this game, because there were still other things that you could do to move along the story. You weren't like stuck in a part of the game. You know what I mean? So, and that's how I feel. I know, like, for you and Stay Tuned, that wasn't so much of a
No, because I didn't feel like I was stuck. I feel like I did have a go-around. You just had to be intuitive about it. Kind of like with this game. I feel like it progressed a little bit faster, but they still expected you to be intuitive.
Right.
But,
I felt like this game did it better.
Yeah. They did it better. I think they figured it out. But, I don't necessarily agree with you were stuck somewhere and Stay Tuned. Or because you could have done other things.
We're going to come back to this point many times, I feel like.
But in this game, for me, it's the same. You were still able to do things and move along.
I agree.
I couldn't enter in Stay Tuned. I couldn't enter the actor's room without triggering it, but I could do other things. In this game, I could still do other things. I didn't have to. I wasn't excluded from an area, which is better. But I could still do stuff, which was good. And time was more of a factor in this game too, and I think they did time better. So the problem we had in Stay Tuned was we ended up having to wait somewhere and wait for the clock to catch up. And
there was nowhere to tell you that you had to wait.
Yeah, in this game, you had an alarm. So we used the alarm a lot. Yeah. Like, you could go to bed and come back.
Yeah, and there was that sheet that we found in the very beginning of the game that told you when certain characters were there.
And they were there at a certain time.
Yeah, so that helped, knowing that time was going to be a puzzle solution. Like this was going to, or a puzzle aid. This was going to help you solve things. Yeah. So I did. I
feel like they were trying to work out time and Stay Tuned, but they figured it out by this game. I liked that. It also helps that you're staying in a place where you can sleep. It's that one. It's the one area. It's not multiple locations. So in this one area, you're also sleeping there. So you can just do that. The day and night schematic and Stay Tuned. But in this one, I guess a negative to the time is like Stay Tuned. I had like clear days, like day 1, day 2, day 3 sort of thing, day and night. And this game, you can kind of use the alarm to your advantage so much.
You could be there for 2 months.
You could be there for 2 months is what I'm saying. Like there's no, even though there's time, there's no clear cut of time for me. It's like you kind of just end up, and it does take more than a day to solve a case. I understand that. But I feel like it's just like I'll be up at 3 a.m. and I just go to sleep for 24 hours and I'm up at 3 a.m. the next day. I don't know. It's just a little,
fair.
It's just a little like I lost a sense of daytime rather than time.
Yeah. I mean, and that certainly is the case because you weren't leaving the house.
Yes.
You were stuck in the house. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you're not going outside, then your sense of, no matter what you do, sense of time.
Ain't that relatable?
Ain't that true? COVID-19.
So ain't that a fact?
Yeah. So, but but overall, I mean, I give this game 3
Wait,
out of 5
are we doing?
specs.
Wait, we need to do the intro. God, this is my time to shine.
Okay, go on.
All right. So, rules of the game. We're gonna check it off. We're gonna check this game off. See if we can or can't. So we're gonna rate it 1 to 5 for how many check marks it deserves, and if we can overall check this game off or can't check it off. So, Katie, what would you rate this game?
I would give this game. Glad that you asked, Maggie, the presenter announcer. I would give this game 3 out of 5. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the characters. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the puzzles. Still think there need to be a little bit more puzzles, but that's the point. So overall, I say it's a fun game. I mean, really, the biggest cons that I had was this whole the like glitches in the play mm-hmm. game. Like I was having problems. Yeah. And then just this whole like kind of getting to like intuitive
so
thing.
Overall, would you check it off or not?
Yeah, I would check it off.
Okay. For me, I'm gonna go middle of the road, 2.5. Because for me, the story wasn't enough and the glitches.
Listen, my child, to the story of dreams.
In the lower junior level of the game, she will always read it when you click on it. So I have it stuck in my head.
I know.
But in the master level, she doesn't read. Like, it's the words aren't highlighted and she doesn't read it. So I had to figure out.
I was looking forward to her reading it, and I was kind of bummed.
Well, in the junior level, she reads it and the words are highlighted. In the master level, it's the words are not highlighted and she doesn't read it, which makes sense because you don't want to. You need to figure out what word. So I was the one sitting there figuring out which word matched up, which word I needed. Right. Anyway, which is fun. I like that. But for me, it's not enough. I mean, it's a good game. I like the game. I think it was better in regards to some of the previous stuff, but I don't feel like. I mean, because I'm a very story-driven person, and I need a game to run. So, and it did run. I don't mean that. I just don't want anything like, for me on my end, it just was like, it kept getting interrupted and it took me out of it. I wasn't as immersed. And now it's not necessarily the game's fault, but it was an experience. It did deter what's the word I'm looking for? It did impact my experience.
Impede. Yeah.
Yes. So I'd say 2 out of 5, right in the middle.
And would you?
Oh yeah, I would check it off though. I think. Sorry, I have a dog, and he heard somebody.
We both have dogs.
Overall, I would check it off. I think it is a good game. I think you should play it. I think it does do a lot of things better. You know, if I didn't have like those glitches or anything, all right, great. I'm not complaining. You know, I just think it is. I think it's worth a playthrough. I just think that if they ever would do a remastered version, they could flesh the story out a little bit more.
And I'm about to say, like, I do check this game off with like a caveat. If you have trouble installing this game, leave it alone. Like,
you don't need this game. You can just watch our playthrough.
Very similar to Stay Tuned for your game.
It's because it's an older game that we had those problems. It's nothing against the game. It was great at the time when we first played this game.
If it was 2002, we would have been banging.
But like, I do find it impressive, you know, like we didn't have audio problems and we didn't have anything like while we were playing the game necessarily that was against it. Just I guess as a watcher, I just had problems. But you don't have to play this game to continue on, but for the pure enjoyment of it, I would play this game again. And that's why I can just overall check it off. If I can play this game again is the real question.
Question mark.
So
awesome. Great. So that's the end of our review of Nancy Drew Mystery Game Message in a Haunted Mansion. Our next playthrough and review will be Nancy Drew mystery game. Treasure in a royal tower. If you can't tell my excitement, I'm excited. So, yeah, so great. Tune in next time, Sleuthers, for our playthrough and review, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, sleuthers.